Saliba, Ben White, can you give us an update on those three?
Yeah, with Miles, there is nothing serious on the scan, so it will be a matter of, today have a meeting with the medical staff, we have a training session, whether it's too early or not, and with Willie, something similar as well. I think definitely be in for next week, this week, and let's see how it goes.
And Ben White's still
not available.
Not available, but potentially Saliba and Lewis Scully tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Obviously, there's so much noise outside the club. Arsenal need to sign a forward. Arsenal need to sign a forward. And I know we sound like broken records when we ask you about that, but you clearly don't share that same sentiment. Do you think it is essential that you sign a forward, or would you be very happy with...
Sorry, I don't share what?
The same sentiment that you have to sign a forward this month? Or do you?
Have I ever said no to a striker?
No, but you don't feel it's a necessity, do you?
How do you say that?
You do feel it's a necessity?
I don't understand the question.
Okay, I'm saying so many people outside the club seem to think that Arsenal have to sign a forward this month.
So what is my opinion?
Yes.
That's what you're asking?
Yes.
Okay, my opinion is clear. We lost two very, very important players, Bukayo Saka and Gabi Jesus. So we lack goals, we lack people, we lack options in the front line. It's clear.
Yes.
Yeah.
So do you think it's essential that you have to bring in forward then in the next...
If we can get the right player, that's what we are actively looking at it. Yeah. Any player, no. Someone that makes us better and has an impact in the team. It's clearly that for the period that we lost them, ideally, we need some help because we were very short already and we're even shorter. But the team still copes with that. Yeah. But we have to do what is right for the club.
If the window were to close and you hadn't brought in a forward option...
That's an option, because it doesn't depend on us. Yeah. It doesn't depend just on Arsenal or Mikel or our will. It depends on the market and many other factors.
And is there work going on at the moment to have you identified targets?
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, you're limited by the fact that you can't bring in a domestic loan. Would you consider the possibility of sending Neto or Sterling back to their parent clubs if a domestic loan was the only option?
We're not thinking about that.
That's not an option?
We're not thinking about it.
No. Obviously, this weekend is a reverse of the opening day of the season fixtures. When you look at where Arsenal were there as opposed to where you are now, how do you think you've changed as a side since then?
I think we are a much better side at the start of the season, much better.
In what sense? What have you
in every
improved?
sense, because we have, first of all, because we have evolved a lot as a team. We have some very important experiences. The way we have competed throughout the last 6-7 months with everything that happened is outstanding, I think.
Yes.
Okay, Roger from Premier League.
Hi, Mikel. Just on a similar theme with that, I mean, you played Wolves at the start of the season. Different manager has come in since then. Do you relish that challenge of facing a new manager and suddenly maybe don't?
Well, he's been in now for a few weeks already, so we already know. I know Victor very well from previous clubs as well, and what his ideas are, and it's very clear how he sets the team. I think he had a really good impact in the team, and it will be a really tough match tomorrow because they are a really well-coached team, and especially there, they are a difficult side to beat.
How do they differ under Pereira from the team that you faced at the start of the season under O'Neill? Have you noticed a difference in the short time he's been in charge?
Well, in regards, first of all, to the structure and the organisation that they use is different. There are certain very clear principles what they want to achieve with and without the ball, as well as certain players that they are in different moments. At the start of the season, they were in certain moment. Now they're in a different moment as well. So everything it's important.
They've lost 3 in a row, and they've conceded 3 in each of those games. Do you sense that their priority may be just to be as compact and difficult to break down as possible, rather than playing on the front foot, but therefore obviously making it tougher for you guys?
Well, they've done it differently. They've done it differently throughout matches, regardless the opposition and regardless as well results. So it tells a lot about their intentions as well. So we'll have to understand very quickly what kind of game they want to propose and what is good for us.
One of the players that gets talked about there is Cunha, of course. He's been linked with several clubs, including Arsenal as well. What is it about him? What threat does he pose? What sort of a danger will he be?
Yeah, you know, I prefer not to talk about the individual. I talk about the collective qualities that they have, and they do have a lot.
Recent games, the Cup game, the Aston Villa game, you have said that the team probably hasn't got what it's deserved. It's dominated matches, created chances, perhaps. Is there a danger that sort of thinking can get to the players as well? They can think things aren't going our way, we're playing well, but we're not getting the results.
That's a fact. That the thing is that we cannot feel sorry for ourselves. We have to design with our hands, and there are certain elements, certain things, certain moments that we have to elevate those standards. So then those margins become huge, and they are a reflection of actually what happened on the pitch.
Okay. Go to Alex from the BBC.
Hi, Mikel.
Hi.
I know it's only been a couple of days since we saw you last, but have there been any further plans about the winter break?
No, no further plans, not yet.
And I know you've been asked a lot about a striker, and you said that it has to be right for the club. Does that factor in potentially the summer window and the plans that you have long term about potential new players?
Well, everything has, obviously. You have certain resources, the ability to recruit certain players, to develop certain players, to bring certain players for the academy. So everything, you know, in a positive note as well. We have to, over our own players that probably nobody expect to have any participation this year. And they had a lot, and a very important one so far. So that's as well a big bonus.
Ian, TalkSport.
Hi, Mikel, how are you?
Hi, good, thank you.
When you look at bringing in players, so let's say you want to bring in someone to help out because Bukayo Saka's injured. How difficult is it? Because that player knows that the minute Bukayo Saka comes back, Bukayo Saka's going to play.
That's the theory, you know. We don't know for how long and how many games he can play. I think the context has changed a lot. I mean, the amount of games that we have, the intensity, the demands that we put in our players, it's just impossible to think that a player can sustain a position. It's not going to happen.
And we're all asking managers the same sort of questions.
Mikel Arteta there talking live on Good Morning Transfers ahead of their game against Wolves. Feels like the most clear and direct we have heard Mikel Arteta on Arsenal's January transfer window and that much talked about search for a striker. Just worth reminding you, I think, exactly what he said there. If we can get the right player, we are actively looking. It is clear in this period that when they lost Saka and Jesus, ideally we need some help. But he did say, caveat that with, we have to do what is right for the club. I think that the key word that stands out there from the quote from Arteta was, it is clear. I mean, it's not just me, it feels like the most clear and direct we've heard Arteta talk about, yeah, we need this striker in.
Very, very direct from Mikel Arteta, and it's been glaringly obvious what Arsenal need to do in terms of reinforcements. They didn't do that business in the summer. Obviously, they brought in Raheem Sterling on loan, but he hasn't really contributed. And I think it's an overcorrection right now from Arsenal. When I look back to the transfer window last summer, when they brought in defensive reinforcements, they brought in David Raya, they brought in Jurriën Timber, they brought in Declan Rice, who at the time was a defensive midfielder. Because in the first season that Arsenal launched that title bid, they were very good going forward. 15 league goals from Martin Odegaard, 15 league goals from Martinelli, 14 from Bukayo Saka. But those players, through a myriad of reasons, whether it's injury or just poor form, haven't contributed with goals this season, and as a result of it not being goals by committee, they do need that number 9 that's prolific. Kai Havertz has contributed, but it's clear of these injuries, and it's clear from the comments from Mikel Arteta that number 9 is what they are prioritising this window.
I think, you know, I can understand as well the question to Mikel Arteta and the pressing need for an answer on whether or not it is a necessity. He believes it's a necessity in this window. I think in previous press conferences and when we've heard from Mikel Arteta previously, he has very much praised the squad as a whole and the squad's involvement in goals and what they could do as a squad if, as you say, Leandro Trossard, Declan Rice, Martin Odegaard, if they all could provide more goals, they would be okay until the man comes in the summer, that big name signing that they fundamentally need. For Arsenal, I think it depends on just how much they want out of this season and whether or not they think they are still in with a shout of the Premier League title and where they could go in various competitions. I think, you know, there's every hope that they could still clinch the title, even though they are a few points off now after that damaging loss really to Aston Villa last weekend when it comes to the title race. But that was a very telling press conference. Clearly, Mikel Arteta understands the importance and that currently, as you say, because of form, goals aren't coming from elsewhere.